Hi, I'm.
Once you know it's for real,
I know.
you're like,
Okay, let's stop. Hi, I'm Kirsten Jones.
And I'm Susie Walton.
And this is our podcast, #Raising Athletes with Kirsten and Susie.
Our passion is supporting parents and raising not only strong athletes, but extraordinary people.
Join us each week as we tackle all topics youth sports, including everything from early specialization and overuse injuries
to helping our kids feel empowered and learn how to advocate for themselves, not only in the classroom and on the court, but at dinner tables and in their communities.
We'll be talking to coaches, athletes, parents,
and anyone else who will speak to us
about their experiences with youth sports and their paths to success.
And even more importantly, their failures. Yes, we're going to get into the gritty details of what went wrong so that we can all learn from it. Teach our kids
and ourselves
how to do better next time.
Because in the words of Maya Angelou, when you know better, you do better. So welcome to Raising Athletes, because we love to win too.
Let's do this.
Hello and welcome to the Raising Athletes podcast. My name is Kirsten Jones. I'm a peak performance and sports parenting coach. I love helping parents, athletes, coaches, anyone who touches youth sports and our athletes figure out what's getting in their way, what's holding them back, releasing those limitations so that we all have dreams, we all have desires to play our best and to feel our best when we do it. And so today's guest is going to be awesome. We've already chatted a couple times, and parents, particularly for you, but even for our athletes listening, we all need to help ourselves first and get the tools that we need on board so that we're more available to help those around us. So Todd Durkin, I'm so excited to have you on, a fellow tribe graduate. We both went to William and Mary, full disclosure.
Tried, baby. Tried.
Ironically, didn't know each other then, although I feel like probably our paths crossed, given I know we have many mutual friends and much love for William and Mary and what it did for us and how it set us up on our journey. But maybe we can start with A, welcome, and B, can you give our listeners who don't know you for whatever reason a little background on your journey?
I'll give the quick 2-minute CNN version if I can. Kirsten, it is awesome to be here, so thank you. Stepping back after my days at William & Mary, I went overseas. I played professional football in Europe, and my dream was always to play in the NFL, but I didn't make it to the NFL because when I was in Europe, I severely hurt my back, 3 herniated discs, spinal stenosis, degenerative back disease. I was 25 years old. I had to create a new dream. And from 5 to 25 years old, I wanted to be that NFL quarterback. And all of a sudden, I had to think about what was next. Interesting enough, after a several-year journey to figure out that next step, I opened my own gym in year 2000 out here in San Diego, California. Although being a Jersey guy, I met this guy named Michael King. Michael was in the Hollywood industry, created Wheel of Fortune, Jeopardy, and Oprah Winfrey. I became his trainer and body worker, and the next thing I know, I'm on the West Coast. I end up opening my gym, and for the last 24 years, that's one of the things I've done is here at my gym, Fitness Quest 10 in San Diego. I've trained athletes of the highest caliber, the Drew Breeses, the Aaron Rodgers, even the new guys like Jordan Love, the quarterback for the Packers, Brett Rippon, who's been in the league now for 6 years. My specific niches in NFL, Major League Baseball, and in the fight game, UFC. That's what I do. That's part of what I do. But in that time, 24 years, a long time, I also have created a couple different coaching groups, mastermind groups for Fit Pros, and a group I call Impact X Coaching. And Impact X Coaching is my high-level entrepreneurs, people from all walks of life, all industries, from attorneys to teachers, to financial advisors, to folks who are just seeking out their highest level. So what I do now is I coach not just athletes, but I coach a lot of moms, dads, and even young entrepreneurs who are looking to maximize their potential. So I'm a husband of now 24 years, almost 24 years, and I have 3 kids. They're 21, 19, and 15. So I'm in the wheelhouse with all you parents out there. I'm in the wheelhouse, you know.
And you
That's
are raising athletes. You have a few athletes in the house. What are your kids into?
Yeah, I have a son who is a quarterback down at Davidson College in North Carolina. I can't believe, but he's a junior right now, which is crazy to say. He was the captain of the football team last year. Great experience at Davidson. My middle son is also in North Carolina. He is a lacrosse player. He's at High Point University, and he's playing lacrosse for fun. He never wanted to be a college athlete. He won a state championship out here in California. He's a high school athlete. Never wanted to play college sports other than he's playing, in the club sport level. And then my daughter, she's 15 and she's playing high level lacrosse. Her goal is to play college lacrosse, probably back east, but you never know. She's only a sophomore, but she's doing really well. So I'm really, really blessed to have a great wife and 3 great kids. And like anyone out there, it's a daily battle. You got to make sure that you show up as a parent, if you are a parent, and if you are married, to make sure that you got that responsibility to be a great spouse as well.
And you're the perfect person. I was mentioning right before we jumped on, I was in Kansas City over the weekend, just got back, with 10,000 athletes, 10,000 volleyball players, the best from across the country, all come to Kansas City for the 200 plus coaches that come to watch them, and the 10,000 parents, 15,000 parents that are there to support them for that event. And what you see is you run the whole gamut from, the parents jumping out of the gym and being truly supportive to, somebody told me that the guy next to him said to his daughter and wife, I don't know why I bother coming and throwing my money at this to watch you pout. Next time I'm going to stay home and let you do your thing, right? And spend my money without me or something like that, right? So what I find is the less connected we are to ourselves about the journey. Yeah. Now we had our own journey, whether you played or not, whether you were an athlete or not. If your child is now participating in this is their journey. And so what I would love to dive in with you today about is how do we help ourselves? And I know you have a huge plethora of tools that you use with your athletes as you're building, because the formula is the same, whether you're trying to be a pro athlete or an entrepreneur or just a great human and a great parent and a great partner. What are the tools that we can talk about today around, and where do we start around helping our kids, helping ourselves first, so that we can be better for our kids?
You know where the best place to start is in right now, like literally right now in this moment, this day that you're listening to this. Kirsten, on the way over here to the office, I was driving by the high school stadium where my kids all have gone to school. My daughter still goes to school. I was driving by the football stadium, and I thought to myself, wow, what great memories, and what I would do to have those memories back. Time flies so fast. And listen, I coached when they were both playing all those years. So for 5 years, I was coaching in the overlap of, I was the strength addition coach, I was the quarterback coach, and I maximized the time. What I would do to go back and have that time again, believe it or not, I'm actually coaching my daughter's lacrosse team. I don't know anything about lacrosse. Other coaches joke around because I'm like, I'll be the strength and condition coach. I'm like to the girls, hit her. You're like, you can't hit another girl like boys lacrosse. You can like check them and do everything else. You can't really touch girls. And the girls laugh at me because I'm just like, all right, hit her. But you know what? Time flies. And if you're a parent now of a youth athlete or a high school athlete, or heck, maybe even a college athlete, we've got to maximize the time because it goes by so fast. Before you know it, you're going to wish that you could have it all over again. And what I've always recognized, and I'll just be blunt, as a parent, I'm around all different parents like you, Kirsten, like everyone there. There's parents who say nothing in the stands, and there's parents who light up the referees and the coaches and the kids lose the lackluster for the sport because the parents degrade them and everything else. I just go back to my experience when I was growing up. I'm the youngest of 8 kids, Kirsten, and some of my siblings were very good athletes. My dad was always in the stands for everything. I never heard him in the good, the best of games and the worst of games. I always felt support. And I think now as a parent, I've lent way more to his side of just being there. And as much as you want to yell at the referees, unless you've ever refereed, don't say a word to the referees. Let me repeat, unless you've ever refereed, sign up to referee right now and don't say another word about to the referees unless you've ever refereed. I don't care how bad they are, how good they are. Referee. And then you'll have a whole new emphasis on just keeping your mouth closed. And to the coaches, many of them volunteers these days who are doing it out of the goodness of their heart, and they're not getting paid dollars. And if they are, it's a couple $1,000s a season. Then just don't say a word unless you want to step up and coach yourself. Because listen, I've done that all. Between coaching and refereeing and officiating, it's not easy. But as a parent, your job is to support your son or your daughter, and to make sure that this is something they're doing for fun and character development and the connection with their comrades, their colleagues, their teammates. And I just see so many times parents live vicariously through their kids, and they take out what they weren't good at in sports, and they just put onto the kid what they weren't good at, and the kid gets blown up. And by the time they're a freshman in high school, they hate the sport because their parents are blowing them up, and they can't stop talking about it at the dining room table and on the car rides, and the kid just can't be a kid. So, that's just something from my own perspective as a coach, as a parent, as someone who's been around the block a few times, and also in having a quote good parent, that I always felt like nurtured. Even if I cost the team a game in a high school football game, which I did once, I never felt like my love was in question from my parents because I had a good game or a bad game. And that's what kids want, especially nowadays.
Okay, first of all, shout out to your dad. 8
Mm.
kids, and he
8
was at
kids.
every game.
Hey, I'll just go with 8. I won't just say every game. He was at every practice. And there's a reason why, because, not this side get sidetracked, but at age 48, my dad had a heart attack. He had a whole new lease on life at age 48. So from 48 to 58 until the day he died, he would drive down to William Mary games in high school. He's at every practice. New lease on life. You ever have a health condition that maybe your life flashes before you? I was the beneficiary of a father who is different to myself and my sister, close to me in age, versus my older siblings when he was working 7 days a week, wouldn't stop, was grinding. Well, when you have a heart attack and almost die at age 48, you have a different perspective on life. I was the beneficiary of that. I also think that's why I had a dad that I would just look up and would smile up at me, and different perspective. And I had that perspective. So I have a little different lens. Because my dad, who has since passed, I was 20 years old when I was in college, and that's a whole different story. And I have a bunch of kids now. I try to say kids, they're 20, 21 years old. Some of them pro athletes and college kids. I'm like, listen, do not take for granted that your parents are still with you. Sometimes they bring their moms or their dads in to train with them. I'm like, you have no idea what a blessing this is, that you are training with your dad or your mom. And they're like, oh, come on, Todd. No, I lost my dad at 20. I know what it's like. I wish at 20, at 25, at 35, at 52 that I could be training with my parents. And I literally just saw my mom. She's 90. She's still living. Just saw her in Florida at a wedding recently. And the fact that she's still in my life, it's like, man, I feel blessed that I have one parent still left. I tell these kids all the time, if you still have, both parents, maximize that time. Love it. Don't take it for granted, because if you ever have a parent taken from you in your life, and you parents who understand that, who have older parents, man, when I say stay in the now, stay in the now. Love on your kiddos. It's not about they had a game-winning goal, or they missed the penalty kick, or the extra point and they lost. No, stop. That's all character development stuff. Wins and losses, it's all character development to prepare you for the next level of life, because that's what we do. It's not who we are. It's what we do. It's not who we are. Well, regardless of the sport is all about character development and stepping into a better version of yourself and teaching you lessons on winning and losing. It's good to lose. Everybody, it's good to lose. I don't like to lose. No one likes to lose. Anyone listening to this doesn't like to lose. But let me tell you what, you look back and I'm like, oh, what are the greatest lessons you've ever had? It's from your losses. It's from your darn losses. You can reflect back, whether it be in high school or before or college. It's the darn losses that you're like, man, if I only could have done this or that, and you hang on to it. And the same thing in life. Many times it's your darn losses, and many of you have big wins. Great. But how do you keep getting better and better and better? Youth sports, high school sports, that's what it teaches. It's all about character.
We only get 18 summers with them.
There you go.
90% of the time that we spend with them on average will be before they turn 18.
There you go.
And when you think about that, like, this is that time that you get to make, and nothing, no yacht, no fancy trip, nothing will replace the time that you went out to go play catch, the time that you went out to go throw the ball around, or so they said, come swim with me, or come do any activity, right? That quality time is so precious. And I think we get so caught up in the outcomes, and that's what I see are a lot of parents who are worried about what's going to happen. I mean, parents come up to me, well, we've got a private coach and we're really working on it, and my husband thought he could have been a great soccer player, but his dad didn't invest in him. And I was like, oh great, so how old is your son? He's 5.
I hear that every week. What are you talking about? I'm in the sports training business. I hear that all the time.
Go to the park. Go enjoy your kid. Go have ice cream with him. Go make memories with him, right? This idea that we have to get on the train. I mean, that's part of what I feel like, that's the part of the revolution that I want to start, that we're missing the point of allowing them to have a childhood.
Truth. Absolutely. And the dangerous society we live in today, in the world of social media, and sometimes the kids' social media is a little different than the parents' social media of what they're watching. But the bottom line is this: everyone wants to be liked and everyone wants to be special. But when you put your self-worth into how your friends validate you, young boys and girls and young men and women get validated by their friends. And many times it doesn't happen at the level they want, which is even more reason why parents need to validate their kids, not because of how well they did or not they didn't do. It's because of who they are as a young boy or girl, or as a man or a young woman. About your love for them truly goes beyond that. Why do I share that? Because many times if you're not the star athlete, which 95% are not the star athletes, you end up not really liking the sport because you're not the star athlete. You're not the one who's getting the attention. You're not the one who the spotlight or the video cameras are always on. So you feel like you're the last one on the bench. So one of the things I'm always preaching to those who I coach and teach, and not even on my social media, is, hey, the person that's last on the bench is as important and maybe more important than the person who is the captain on the team. It's the person who is getting all the glory. It's the person who is not the starter, but who is constantly encouraging their teammates. That's the person we might need to give the MVP to. So how do you turn around this that we're in? And it's a battle, Kirsten. We're in a battle, but we got to get the kids to fall in love with the sport because of the process of practice, the process of getting in the weight room and getting better and seeing some improvement in your muscles or your speed or your strength or your explosiveness. And all of a sudden you're like, man, that is amazing. I see you getting quicker. I see you more explosive off the ball, whatever that is, because now all of a sudden that chest swells up, the chest goes out like a peacock, like I say, and that kid feels really good about themselves. They're carrying themselves differently in school. Their grades improve. Their social connection improves because of a coach, a strength coach or a position coach or a head coach, a parent happen to really swell them up. Swell them up. Don't put them down. I hate when I hear, I listen to some of the parents and what they say to their kids. It's like, I can't believe it. I'm like, are you trying to cut your kid down and make them quit and make them feel bad about themselves? Stop putting what you weren't good at in high school because you played on the JV team and never made it to the varsity, and putting your own desires for them to be the star on the varsity team, or they got to get a college scholarship. I all the time I get parents, they're like, hey, my kid's going to get a scholarship and they're in the 8th grade or the 10th grade. And listen, if it's so to be that they're supposed to get a scholarship, fantastic. But their worth is not in that scholarship. And don't put all of it around just the scholarship. Put it in the process, and it's all going to work out in the long run. But this is what we're up against today. And it's people like you, Kirsten, are doing an amazing job of preaching to the parents and the kids of fall in love with the process. Get in, work your tail off, outwork everybody. Don't just look at the cameras and put your faith in what other people are saying to you. No,
Yeah.
don't do that. So I'm getting a little fired up.
No, I love it. We're sing from the same song sheet, and I 100% agree. And the best coaches, I believe, see every single athlete on their team. And ultimately, we make a mistake because we think it's about playing time. It's about being the star. And I like to say to parents, parent the child you have, not the one you wish you had.
Mm.
And when you see them for who they are, and you say that, I see you and your value, we might not get it out of football or lacrosse or volleyball, but what we're going to learn while we become a better teammate and learn how to be on time and be a great supporter, we're going to take all of those tools. And when we start being curious about what our passion is, watch them go. Because they've got the fire and now they have the toolbox to say, oh, I know exactly how this works. I've done this before.
Mm-hmm.
And even though they weren't the star, they really don't care about that. And I think we get caught up in that, and I do it as a parent myself, right? Like yesterday they lost and we were kind of all licking our wounds and thinking, oh, well, this didn't go the way we wanted. And then I started noticing this little 13-year-old boy walking past me, and then the dad walked past me, and like 3 minutes later, they came circling back. And so I finally paid attention. I was kind of sitting there, like talking to my daughter. Oh, this didn't go, how did you feel about it? She's like, oh, well, we didn't finish the way we thought. What I eventually noticed was it was a boy with Down syndrome and his father following behind him. And they were doing laps around the escalators. And I said, we won. We won everything. The fact that you can walk out onto that court and play 2 points or 20 points or 100 points doesn't matter, right? Like, I'm sure that father would give anything to be able to watch his kid go do any sport, right?
Absolutely. 100%.
And how hard it is we care about, we didn't get a medal. And by the way, once you fly home and you put the medal on your wall, nobody cares. Nobody cares. So
Preach.
You were talking about energy and how we support our kids. And I know that's what you're big on. And that's what I love following your work. Can you talk to us about, so what if I am one of those parents that gets caught up and gets too over the top? How do I shift my energy so that I can be a better parent?
Well, the first thing is just the fact that you're speaking about it, Kirsten, and often, and I listen to your shows, is awareness. Is I can be better. Like all of us, I can be better. Is saying, you know what, I got to be better at this as a parent. Listen, parenting is the hardest thing in the world to do, right? Like it sounds so easy. Like, okay, I'm not going to yell at my kids, and then the ref makes a bad call, or your kid makes a mistake, costs them the game, and you're just fired up, and you can't wait to get in the car to berate your kid. Right now, they did 8 good things. They did 1 bad thing, and what do? You berate your kid for the 1 bad thing. I actually have a rule. It's a 15-minute rule. 15-minute rule before and after. But after the game, do not rehash the game for 15 minutes. Good luck, parents. Let me know how you do. Let me know how you do with that one. Don't bring it up. Yeah. And because the kid's waiting, they know they're going to get it from you that how good or bad they were. And how about just saying, hey, good game. I love you. And then, hey, what kind of homework you got to, like, don't rehash play by play the game because they're waiting for it. And the same thing before the game. The coach has given them a list of things to worry about or do. And then you're just giving them a whole nother skew of 5 things to, hey, make sure you do this. Make sure you do that. Stop. Let the coach be the coach. And you just say, go out there and have some fun today. Play all out and do your thing. I love you either way. Go do your thing. Like, so when I talk about energy is an interesting thing because I study it a lot. People are like, oh, Todd, your energy is always positive. No, it's not. I don't always have positive energy. But I will tell you this, Kirsten, I have a lot of different hacks that I use to make sure that my energy is right. And not just with coaching, just in everything I do in my pursuits in coaching other people and coaching my athletes in my life is, it's all about shifting your energy to where you want to be. And, who is, for me, who's the dad I want to be, the husband I want to be, the coach and the trainer I want to be, the speaker, as a keynote speaker. How do I want to show up on stage and that stuff? That starts with all habits. That's all habit. So my workouts, my eating, all of these things have to do with how I treat my kids. Because if I work out and I'm taking care of myself and I'm eating good, I'm training, guess what? I feel good, and I'm not going to put my lack of feeling bad and, well, I'm just going to yell at McKenna or Brady or Luke, my kids, or whoever as a coach, and I just go off on kids because that's another topic. How many coaches just are negative as heck versus just, I'm going to praise and praise and pray, give feedback, praise and praise and pray, give feedback, praise, give feedback, praise, give feedback versus just ripping people for what's doing wrong. So energy is everything. I say it all the time. I mean that. The people I study are energy people. I'm very careful of who I'm surrounding myself with, what I listen to. I'm very, very meticulous when it comes to my inner circle and my people I'm around, what programs I'm listening to, what's coming in my ears. All of these things matter. Why? Because it said that in your mind, right? All about your mind. And I say, get your mind right all the time, but it's your thoughts become your words become your flesh become your actions become your character becomes your legacy. Let me repeat that just so you miss that. Your thoughts become your words, what you say, what you yell, what you exclaim. Your thoughts become your words become your flesh, what you do. Your flesh become your actions, you going out and doing it. Your actions become your character, who you really are, and then your character becomes your legacy. After 5, 10, 20, 30, 50 years or whatever you do, what you do, all because of your thoughts? Yup. So how do you improve your thoughts? What are you reading? What are you listening to? Who are you listening to? What are your habits saying with how your early morning routine, your evening routine, how you're parenting? All of these things matter. It's the attention to detail on the little things, not just because Johnny or Mary weren't playing good. Forget that. Teach them about all of these little things and then have them focus on the process. The rest will take care of itself. Let me repeat, losing's okay. Losing's okay. It's actually good. I hate to say it's good, but why do we want to protect all our kids from losing all the time? Kirsten, I know you've had your share of losses. I've had more than my share of losses, and it's okay. We get through it. It's called life. We don't always, well, we always want to win, but we're not always going to win. Protect your dome at all costs.
I like talking about your tribe of 5. So who are the 5 people that are closest to you you are allowing into your space? We only have so much emotional energy every day. By the way, they could be living or dead. They could be someone you know or don't know. But what we do is we allow that one psychotic vampire who has all this negative energy into our space and like, yeah, but they're a relative. Yeah, but they've been my best friend since I was 5. Well, if they are not serving you, if they are not, positive. I have a friend who, when I told her I was so excited I was going to write a book, and her response was, why? No one will read it.
Oh my
True
God.
Story. True story.
On that woman.
Right? And that was when I was like, wow, this is one of my best friends. So maybe she isn't your friend. Maybe it is about her and what she's going through, and that's fine. And I do a cord cutting exercise where I emotionally cut that cord. We are no longer tethered to one another. I wish you well. I wish you the best. But in order for me to write the book, in order for me to get onto the bigger stage, I need to be surrounded by people like you who are cheering me on, who are saying, you've got this, who are saying, what can I do to help?
Preach.
Right?
Yeah, preach. And that's why everyone needs a coach. That's why kids need coaches. Kids need coaches to encourage and support them and lift them up, not to tear them down. That's why adults, why is it when sports are over at whatever age, whether it's high school or college or pro, many people stop having coaches? Wait, why?
Yeah.
Why? Because everyone needs a coach to lift them up and to support them and give them knowledge and wisdom and intellect on all of these things. I always say this is, number one, who are you pouring into? Number 2, who is pouring into you? And number 3, who should you be pouring into? Who should you be pouring into? So who are you pouring into? Who should you be pouring into? And who's pouring into you? See, a lot of times as adults, we don't have people pouring into us. So that's a problem because your bucket becomes empty. You're shot. Work is crushing you. You're on a big project. You're busy as heck. You have 15 things going on. You have no one pouring into you, supporting you, giving you a text or a video or some kind of a content that you can really chew on and get inspired with. You're just giving and giving and giving and making things work. You know you should be pouring into maybe your family more, maybe your team more if you're a part of a business or a company. Maybe it's your friends more, whoever those people are. But those are the three questions I always ask. Who am I pouring into? Who should I be pouring more into? And who's pouring into me? We all need people who are going to pour into us. Now, as adults, many times that comes in the form of a coach. A coach is pouring into you potentially, a life coach or a business coach, a fitness coach, whoever it is. Have a coach. Have a coach in your life that you can really say, this is who I'm being held accountable to and who's going to lift me up to a higher standard. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep operating life and whatever happens, happens. That's not the way to live life.
I love it when I work with athletes and I say, I'm Switzerland. I've got no skin in the game.
Yeah.
I'm just here to cheer you on. Imagine a stadium of people that are all like me, that are visualizing your success. And the way you see them straighten up and light up and get excited, because who doesn't want to have a stadium of people cheering for them? And not that our parents don't, of course they do, but they also are the disciplinarian and they're holding you accountable on other things. And so when they try to support you and coach you, you hear the take out the dish, take out the trash, or do the other thing, or get straight A's. They hear the nagging. But when you have a coach that can say, okay, what are you working on, and what's holding you back, and we can get rid of that. Do you really believe you're actually holding yourself back?
Yeah,
Ooh, never thought of that.
Man, that's so good, Kirsten. I often say to myself, really, the mark of a great coach isn't really necessarily on the wins or the losses or the championships. Really, the mark of a great coach is, are you going to be invited to their wedding in 10 years?
Amen.
Or whenever that is? Or did
Amen.
you have that much of an impact on them that someday they're going to remember you because of how you lifted that person up, because of 3 lessons that you taught them that to this day are still resonating deeply in their soul? Like, to me, I love when I go to former athletes or clients' weddings and being part of that, because that means you've had an impact way deeper than any wins or any losses in their life. Is you touch that person in a way that, well, frankly, many coaches now don't. It really is just about the season or about the losses and the wins. But how do you really change a life? How do you use the sport, regardless of the sport? Doesn't matter what the sport it is, to somehow impact that young boy or girl to go on and do great things in their life, and they appreciate that. Or when the kid says afterwards, hey, coach, can I talk to you for a minute after practice? Or can I come up to the gym? I need to talk to you about something. And they're going through a struggle in their life right now. At home, mom and dad are getting split up, or they have a problem with their friend group, and they just need some wisdom, and they recognize you as someone different amongst the 5 coaches or the 12 coaches, depending if it's football or if it's volleyball or swimming, whatever it is. They recognize you as that person, and you just chat about life. Because why is it, and I've been in this game in the sports training world for a long time, why is it they tell you things they don't tell their parents? The kids always tell their coaches things they don't tell their parents, which is crazy, but there's a level of trust sometimes there that they're not going to get repercussions of that. So as a coach, many times you have the opportunity to really help positively impact a young boy or girl, man or woman, depending on the age, at a level that's going to impact them deeply beyond the season of being 12 years old, 15 years old, 18 or 21, or heck, sometimes even 37 if you're an NFL quarterback.
Right. Yeah, I played at San Diego State originally and have no idea what that coach is doing, and transferred to William and Mary, and she was in my wedding, and I talked to her every month.
Yep. There you go. 100%.
And still in my life. And I can't remember. I remember 2 matches that I played during college, like that stand out, like, wow, that was because we lost in 5 against San Diego State when I was at William and Mary, and then we beat Florida State in 5. Other than that, it was the bus rides, it was the gym time, it was the downtime, it was the going and sitting on her couch and complaining about whatever was going on in my life, and she was there to be an ear, and that's great.
Was that Deb Hill?
Debbie Hill, yeah,
Debbie
amazing
Hill.
woman.
I still remember her name. We didn't talk about this one. I still remember her name because she was the legendary volleyball coach. And this is, gosh, I don't know, 30 something years later or whatever it is. Right? I
Right?
still remember
Yes.
her name, like legendary
Yeah.
coach. Like that's that. I just, you,
John wouldn't.
how do I, as a football player, remember the women's volleyball coach's name 30 years later? How is that even possible? Well, she probably said something nice in the hallway at some point, or why do I remember her name? Try that as an impact. Are they going to remember your name, right? As a coach, right? And here's the other one too. You know, one of the guys I had a chance to work with, and I've trained him for 23 years now, Kirsten, is Drew Brees. Drew is an NFL future Hall of Famer. I've trained him for years. He was a rookie when I started working with him for the San Diego Chargers. Why do I share that? Is because a guy like Drew, who forget all of the successes on the field, he continually to this day reminds me of what you just said, how he misses not necessarily throwing touchdowns every game and all the accolades as the MVP and a Super Bowl champion, all this stuff. It's exactly what you just said. The time in the locker room with the guys, watching the film with the coaches and the fellas, the team meetings when everyone's, joking around, or it's the camaraderie that you miss. And here's a guy who had a 20-year NFL career, played at the highest of levels. If you're a young kid, Google or YouTube Drew Brees. Parents, you all know who I'm talking about, right? Legend. But it's funny, even now training him post-career and listening to him, it's almost like a sparkle in the eye. It's about the people. It's about the experiences and those bus rides and plane rides of those things. Of course, the people remember the big things and the trophies and the big accolades. Cool. But really deep down at a soulful level, it was about the laughs and the practical jokes and the things they played on each other. That's called life. And that's what sport allows us to do. But sometimes we get so carried away on the win or the loss or the referee's horrible call that cost us the game. I get it. But it's really about the lessons that we can pull from every darn game that we compete in, whether you played or whether you didn't play. So that's a good example from Drew that to this day, and he's a year or two away from becoming a Hall of Famer. I hear the same thing that you just said, Kirsten.
So I know you two very close, and so I'm sure you've shared many parenting moments together too. Can you talk about how he's parented and how you parent probably, I'm guessing, similarly based on your experience? Because I have a theory about how people parent depending on what level of sports they played.
Yeah. Here's what I always say. Different levels, different devils. Different levels, different devils. What do I mean by that? I'm 10 years older than Drew. So one of the interesting things is he's kind of watched me bring my kids up and in a faith-based home and try to do the best with the kids and, all of those things. So, he's had a chance. We've talked about this when the kids were young, and sometimes I'd pull my hair out and why was my kid picking dandelions in the baseball outfield at 6 years old? And I'm like losing my cool because my kid don't care about sports. He's six. And I'm like, Drew, right? So fast forward, as I've learned that and patience and everything else, as his kids were growing up, and he'd share like, man, I just wish my kids practiced like I practiced. I wish my kids had the same work ethic that I had, and all the things that every parent feels like, man, I was different when I was a kid. It used to be like this. I get it. All of us are like that. And Drew's no different than that, right? But we've had many, many discussions. He's got 4 kids. I've got 3. And as someone who our best conversations these days are around family and kids and how do we grow our kids? His kids are in middle school and now high school. Different levels, different devils. Different levels, different devils. How would you like to grow up as the kid of Drew Brees? I mean, how about that pressure no one thinks about? Oh, you're going to play football? Oh, you're just supposed to be an all-state player? Wait, what if I don't even want to play football? What if I don't even want to be a quarterback? Well, guess what? There is an innate pressure that can come along with being that the kids, and they love it. I just got a text from one day yesterday about, hey, coach, can you teach me some new chest and back exercise? I want to get my chest and back bigger. I love that. Well, why is he going to Drew? Because guess what? He's going to go to the coach, right? So that I can kind of like give him his thing on that. It doesn't matter who you are. Parenting is parenting. And whether you come from rags, you come from riches, you come from good places or bad places, man, nothing replaces the aspect of time, the time you spend with your kids, right? The time that you spend with your kids, to your point, whether it's catching ball in the backyard, going out in the street on a Sunday and just playing the sport with no referees and no coaches, and sometimes just playing the play, the aspect of play. Probably don't remember the name, Professor Charles. Professor Charles was a kinesiology professor. To this day, I remember Professor Charles talking about the aspect of play and how play, when you get fluidity in play and you get immersed in the actual aspect of play, how you lose sense of time. This is like 1992, Kirsten, I'm talking about. And I still remember the conversation of, I know what it's like to just play. Today, kids are so much in their heads about, do I look good? Is someone going to film this? Is someone going to watch this? And they can't just get immersed in the actual play of the sport, whatever the sport is. So let's maybe just sometimes take the phone away, and there's no videos, there's no film, there's no huddle, there's no nothing. It's just play. Let's just play and scrimmage or practice to get better. Don't worry about the result. Worry about just playing and getting immersed in the, oh man, I actually forgot about time for 40 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever it is. That's the whole immersion of play. And we've often lost that. So I'm like, how do we get it back? Well, coaches, parents, go out on a weekend and just play in the park with no phones, not even their phone. Now they're not checking Snapchat. They're not checking TikTok or YouTube, whatever it is. Just play. Nothing but play. It's so good for the soul that when you can go out and get immersed in that listen, we got a challenge on our hands, Kirsten, and that's part of the revolution that you're on, that I'm on, the crusade of helping kids use sport as an unbelievable opportunity to just become better boys and girls and men and women and parents, that we don't ruin the opportunity because we take the joy of the sport or of play back because of, man, they're not going to be the starter. They're not going to be an all-star. They're not going to be an MVP. They're not going to get a college scholarship. It's okay. It's okay. Use the sport to grow the character on the inside, and watch what little Billy and Nancy do with their lives because of what it meant to sit on the bench and not quit, what it meant to be the last in, and that person had so much influence on the team. Watch how that transcends into success of not always being the guy, not always being the girl, always being in the spotlight. Watch how, if you teach them to stick it out, what that truly means to get through that season and be that person, that you don't have to be the star player to be a very proven and necessary part to the team.
100%. I love everything you said. And chapter 2, whose dream is it? So what I run into a lot too is it's a dream that isn't the child's, it's the adults. And I got on a call with a client 2 weeks ago, and her opening phrase, I said, so, you're 16. How do you love golf? She says, well, I'm forced to play golf. It was the first thing out of her mouth. I said, so how's school? Well, school's okay. In fact, we're thinking of transferring. Oh, well, why are you going to transfer? Well, we're thinking of doing online school so I can play more golf. Oh, so that thing that you hate, we're going to take all of your social life away. We're going to take all of your interaction with others away to focus more on something that's not even your dream.
Yeah, that hurts. That hurts because, again, to your point, whose dream is it? How, as parents, as coaches, can we really just, not that a kid's going to know their dream at 12 or 15, but you can certainly extinguish a dream by putting your dream in someone else versus, hey, what do you love to do? What do you really what are you passionate about? And we put all of in our society and culture today so much just on the end result, just on the did you come in first place? Did you win? All of that, cool. It's good to have winners, good to have losers. It's good to try to come in first place. But hey, how did you do today? Not, hey, did you win? Like, hey, how'd you do? Like, how do you fall in love with the process of golf, football, basketball, baseball, lacrosse, swimming, volleyball, whatever that is son, daughter, what do you love to do? What is it? And I can guarantee it's not sitting in front of your darn boob tube screen and watching TikTok all day is what you love to do. Otherwise, that's a whole nother topic of rules that need to be applied to get out there and move and play, because humans, let alone kids, are designed to play. And this is what we come across today on a much larger basis of our kids are getting drugged with social media and everything else, and you're just getting sucked into screen time, which is killing hours of a day of both study time, reading time, writing time, and play time. That's the bottom line. So as parents, we better fight for it. Otherwise, you're going to be the one who's angry and yelling at your kid, and it's just as much your fault because we didn't put a stop to it and we didn't do anything about it. So again, the first thing comes to awareness and recognition is it's time. And it's so much easier to stick your phone in front of your kid's face when you might maybe not want to take 10 to 20 minutes to go out in the home gym and get a little pumping with your daughter, or go out and play catch with your daughter, your son out in the front. Well, I never played lacrosse. Well, figure it out. I didn't either. Like, figure out whatever it is, or go to the wall and let them throw against the wall or catch against the wall. It's about time. And then when they're doing that, you might be talking about something other than the sport. It might be about life or about grandma or grandpa, or, hey, when I was your age, and my dad, before he passed away, he taught me a valuable lesson about, practice or about time. And then you share that, and next thing you know, that you're in a father-son or a father-daughter, a mother-son or daughter conversation that goes way beyond anything that the sport itself is about. It becomes part about the relationship, and isn't that what it's all about at the end?
Todd, this has been so amazing. I know you're a busy, busy man. I need to let you go. But before I do, I'd love to pivot just one moment to let's talk to the parents about the parents for a second. And what I hear sometimes, and I'm 54, I just turned 54. We have parents in their late 40s, early 50s. Maybe you had a career you liked, but now you're in that place. The kids are getting older, or they're still, middle school, high school, and you're not happy in what you're doing. And what we know is our kids aren't listening to much of what we say, but they're watching everything we do, right? So if you're a parent that's kind of grinding through life, how do you help? What advice do you have for parents who are like, gosh, I'm not living my own dream, and I'm afraid I'm not modeling to my kid who I want them to become?
Yeah, Kirsten, that is a great question. So I lead this group. It's called Impact X Coaching. It's not for fit pros. It's for all different walks of life. And the reason I share that is because I can't tell you the number of conversations I'm having these days with successful people, moms and dads, successful on the outside as far as they're making good money or decent money. Some are making extremely good money, and they have a good job, and they have a house, and they have, everything on the outside is good, but on the inside, something is missing. And I'm thinking about it. Several people right now as I speak that I had conversation with this week alone, that everything is good on the outside, but on the inside, something is missing. And they're searching for what is that on the inside that's missing. I just can't put a finger to what it is. So a few things as one goes from, I'll say, from success to seeking more significance, right? Like we get caught in these careers, good or bad, that allow us to do well and to provide for our families. But we get to a point sometimes where there's got to be something else or something deeper within this career, or maybe a pivot of a career, of a passion play. But here's what I would say. Number one, just like I was saying about the kids, many times it requires us as parents to shift energy. We got to shift energy ourselves. We got to make sure that we recommit to our own discipline to start working out again, to start eating right again, and to get around the right people, as you shared earlier on. Like, that's how you shift energy. Because when you're in the right energy, all of a sudden your mind sets to start to shift. You start to dream again, because some people forgot to dream, or they don't even know what the dream is. So you start to dream again. You're around the right people, and your dream's like, oh my goodness, what if I actually did this as a side hobby or a side hustle, or took this on as an extra 10, 15, 20 hour a week passion play, because I want to go out and I want to have a philanthropic, whether it's your own 501c3, or you want to get involved with a 501c3 or nonprofit organization. Next thing, your energy is a whole different place, because your kids are watching, but you got to be happy first on the inside yourself. It also comes down to habits. What are the habits that you need to improve on? And this is where I stick these impact extras. Like, I am on them about their habits and what you got to do to dial in your habits and not live what many people are, just in mediocre habits. They're just not living at, I'll say, a world-class level. Third, I got like 5, is I always say this: attack your fears. Attack your fears. We get to sometimes the 40s and 50s, we get in like this prevent defense. We're scared to make change because, we got too much. The salary's too good. I got one guy right now. He's got a very big corporate job, and he's got all these benefits stuffed away every 2 years. And he's like, I'm trapped. I'm living the corporate trap, and I want to make a change. I'm like, then make a change. I can't. You have no idea. I'm like, yeah, I do. I know how many millions of dollars are at stake. I got it. I understand that. Attack your fears. Faith over fear. Faith over fear. So what are you putting your faith in? I'm not saying just change the change because of that, but how do you build up so that you can have that and then work toward ultimately what your ultimate purpose is? Because the fourth is, I'd say, align with your deepest divine purpose. Align with your deepest divine purpose. What is your divine purpose? What is it? You've got to write that down over and over, like I do every month with my impact extras. Write it down. And this month, we're going to make sure that we get closer aligned with your highest purpose. Not just, I'm a parent, or I'm a trainer, or I'm an attorney who makes good money. No, your divine purpose, that you feel there's a calling inside of you to impact this world at a greater place that is more significant than potentially what you're doing now. So the next 50 years of your life are even more powerful than the first 50 years. And then the last one, it's all about potential. Maximize your potential. The last thing that at least I want to do is die with potential inside of me. Then, the big man up top says, hey, I put something inside of you, a gift inside of you that you never fully tapped into. Why didn't you ever step into that? Oh, I was scared. Or I had too many good things. No. Are you going to maximize your potential or not? So don't wait to make that. So I guess, Kirsten, when you say, what would you say to someone? That would be it in a nutshell. And it's what I do on my coaching on the entrepreneurial and corporate side is just the impact extras is, man, you got to make sure that right now, not, there's an election coming up, I'll wait, or the economy is not looking. No, take it into your own hands. Have a talk with the big man up top and say, what am I designed to do? And what would you like me to step into? And be obedient to that. And when you do that, then you can be that man, that woman, that parent, that coach, or whoever it is that you are, or that you want to step into. So that's what makes me tick. And that's why I coach the kids. That's why I coach the parents. That's why I do what I do. So thanks for asking that question.
I love that answer, and that's so we preach from the same. I mean, you're saying exactly what I'm thinking, which is amazing. And some people will say, "Yeah, but what if I don't have a big passion?" What is your answer to that?
Then find it. We all have passion. Hey, listen, passion comes from the word passeo, which is in Latin, suffer. Has anyone ever here suffered? Like, read my next book. It's coming out in June. Like, suffering many times leads to deeper passion. The reason why I'm so fired up is because while you may read the bio like, wow, he's got a lot of successes. No, it's because of the darn things that have happened, like my father passing away at age 20, like my back injury at 25, which led me down to a field in coaching and fitness and all the things I do, the setbacks I had in 2020, which from 2020 to 2023, all the things I'm writing about in this next book of suffering of, even though, oh, but wait a second, what do you mean suffering? You came out with a God-Sized Dreams planner. You wrote a journal. You had a God-Sized Dreams program. You had Impact X. All these things. What are you talking about? You're suffering. Yeah, they were all created because in the suffering, when you create, that's part of your healing. Part of your healing comes from you creating. That's from the passion, from sometimes suffering. Pardon to get so deep, my friends, today, but that's the truth. Is your passion sometimes comes when you get right in the face of what you're confronting, which is fearful, and you say, okay, I'm going to run at you. I'm not turning and running the other way, and let's go create what we got to create, because there's hundreds or thousands or millions of people that need to be impacted by the message because of your story. If you're not watching, the shirt I'm wearing right now says, live a life worth telling a story about. What's your story? Live a life worth telling a story about. What's your story? Everyone's got a special story, but why are many people afraid to share their story? Oh, if they only knew what I went through. Oh, if they only knew this happened or that happened. No, share your story and watch what happens. All of the bad things, when you share, you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know so many people had the same type of thing I have. And next thing you know, you're inspiring many, 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 many people. So, man.
So good. Yes, so good. And I say, when you hear, I like when I'm working out, or sometimes in the shower, sometimes when it's you're driving the car, and you hear that little voice in your head that's like, ooh, wouldn't it be cool if, I did a TED Talk, if I wrote a book, if I started a 501c3, if I coached my kids' sport, what is that little voice that keeps popping up that you're kind of like, oh yeah, later. Oh yeah, I don't have time for that. Make time for that. Write that down. If that's important to you, don't ignore it, and start nurturing that. And even if it's not a full-time job, even if you have to still do the 9 to 5 for a while, let that grow. Let that nurture it and allow it to, the bamboo gets planted into the ground. It grows down for 7 years. 7 years before you even see anything. Yet we live in a culture where, well, I did that for a week, I should have lost 5 pounds, right? I tried the writing thing. Yeah, it just took too long. What is it you're willing to say? I really want this enough that I am willing to delay gratification.
Yeah, so good, so good. I mean, that's the bottom line. I always say writing creates clarity, clarity precedes genius. Writing creates clarity, clarity precedes genius. So write things down, and then one of the exercises when you write down, just by the end of 2024, I will ... By the end of 2024, I will ... Write it down. Write down 5 things, 7 things. Share it with Kirsten. Share it with me. Share it with your spouse. Share it with your kids. Declare it, because as soon as you write it down, it has life to it. And when you share it, it has more life to it. You start speaking it. Watch out. Write it down. Share it, and let it get some life. Next thing, your energy starts shifting because of those things. Next thing you know, things start happening. People come into your life like, wait, how did she come into my life? How did he come into my life? Yeah, because you wrote it down, and there's this universal law that happens. Trust me, put it on paper, share it, watch what happens.
Thoughts becomes,
in a few months and tell me.
Amen. And let me know too, right? Thoughts become things. And when we speak it into existence, when we say this is important to me, I don't say it's like, oh, you win the lottery and all of a sudden just shows up on your doorstep. Now we need to take steps. What am I doing? Who is the person that does X? What do they do every day? What are their habits? What is that person? Success leaves clues. Watch for those people. Watch what Drew Brees does every day, and let me know how he got to be successful. It wasn't by happenstance, right? It was by habit and by how he showed up. You're amazing. So much fun.
Kirsten, thank you. You're awesome. And it's really great to connect. I love what you're doing with your community. If I can ever help you or your community, let me know. Whatever you got going on, I'm a fan. I'm a friend. So thank you for what you're doing.
Oh, thank you. And same goes. So I have to let you go, but I'm going to ask you our final question. We ask everybody who come on the podcast, and you can answer it however you like. It can be a sentence, it can be a word, it can be a paragraph, or whatever you want. The best athletes I know do this.
Pray.
How would you
pray? I didn't have to think about it. They pray. Sorry, it's probably I never heard that answer, but
no.
I've worked with hundreds of athletes, and the one thing I'll say is they don't put their self-worth in their success of their sport. They put it in faith. that whatever's supposed to happen happens. And I'm thinking of one that I'm looking at right now as I'm doing this. He's out training with one of my trainers. I just had his yesterday. He's a several year NFL vet, and he's training right now. We just talked yesterday about this. Is the power of prayer is when you get to a point at any level of your life, whether you're a parent, whether you're an athlete, when you get to the point is like you are so committed to just living and committed to the walk that, to me, the best athletes I've worked with, and I've worked with UFC champions, obviously the NFL guys, the Major League Baseball all-stars, and all these guys and gals. And the best ones, they have a sense of calm about them because they realize it's bigger than them. It's bigger than them. It's not just about their success. It's bigger than them. So the best ones I know, they pray.
Todd, you're amazing. Thank you. Where can everybody find you for those parents who are looking to up-level your life, whether it's your business, whether it's just you yourself? You have amazing courses. You're speaking all the time. How can they get in touch?
Thanks, Kirsten. Certainly, we've got a podcast as well. It's called the Todd Durkin Impact Show. So after you listen to Kirsten's show, it makes you hop on over after listening to Raising Athletes to the Todd Durkin Impact Show. If you like, at todddurkin.com, I write a weekly email that's always about inspiration. So if you'd like to sign up for that email, hop over to todddurkin.com. And sign up for my newsletter. It goes out every Monday without fail. Every Monday I write an email, and I just try to fill up the world with more light. I love lighthouses, and I'm like, man, if there's ever a time the world needs more light, it's now. So that Monday email I write is all about just putting more light into the world. We got a lot of fun, exciting things going on. But just go over to todddurkin.com, sign up for the email newsletter, listen to the podcast. And I love social media. So Instagram, you're on Instagram, just put my name at Todd Durkin. I do, that's me that's on there, but I do, unlike I would say with the kids who's on it like 24/7, I allocate time. I share that in my Get Your Mind Right book. I allocate when I'm going on social media a couple times a day, and I'll take 20-minute chunks to post or get back and comment. So if you're on Instagram, Facebook, check it all out at Todd Durkin.
He's got some great courses going on all the time. He's got books. He's got everything. He's the full meal deal. He's who I aspire to be. I'm finding inspiration in you daily. So everybody go sign up. Go buy the Raising Empowered Athletes book. Download this, subscribe, share, like, as much as we can get the word out. We're all trying to, when we know better, we do better. So parents, athletes, coaches, let's do this.
Yeah. And Kirsten, thank you for saying that. Folks, do us a favor. Share this episode, because Raising Athletes podcast and what Kirsten is doing, that's called impact. And that, if you can share it with your friends, your fellow coaches, coaches of your kids' teams, this is all positive messages that we all can get better at, right? The school administration. So share it on your social media. If you got Facebook or Instagram, share that. It's one of the ways that Raising Athletes podcast can continue to grow. Kirsten's message needs to get out there even more. So I'll pimp you more, because a lot of times you don't like to say it yourself. But
no,
guys,
I'm bad at that.
No, you don't. So I'm doing it for you, because
Thank you.
when you listen to that content, and we've been trying to get on this for months now to schedule it. Now that it's out, share it. Share it with your people every week when you get this, because I see what she's doing and the positive message going out. And you're probably shaking your head like, yeah, there were some really great points in there that she made, or that's something that resonated with you. Get it out to your family, get it out to your colleagues, and just ultimately, the kids that are listening in, congratulations for listening. If you made it all the way to the show, it means you care. It means you want to get better. Now just show up and keep doing what you do, and the rest is all by itself. Report back to us. Report back to Kirsten, to me, how things are going. And when they're not going good, reach out to us. Reach out to us. That's when we do our best work. Kirsten,
got a newsletter too. Please like, share, get on there. Thank you, Todd. You're amazing. You're bringing us all to the next level, and that's what this whole journey is about.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Kirsten. Have a good day. Thank you.
Hey,
it's Kirsten and Matt. Welcome to the outro section with Todd Durkin. This was one of those episodes that I made a Dream 100 list, again, 6 years ago. And I didn't know Todd. We were at William & Mary at the same time, but we did not know one another. But he has done incredibly well in his business. And I've watched him rise and have a lot of success and high energy. And so it took me, honestly, really was not until my book came out. I tried a couple times earlier to reach out to him and, I didn't have anything to offer. So it's not surprising he didn't respond. But when I had the book and I had the podcast and then I had like 5 or 6 mutual friends, it ended up working out and the timing was the right timing. So I was a really fun episode and I so enjoy his support and energy and hearing his journey.
Yeah. And I mean, there's no such thing as a coincidence. Everything I feel like kind of happens for a reason. So the timing of this is always perfect. And I think that's something that, Todd kind of got into a little bit. I think the what he really started off with was the importance of being supported and feeling supported. So can you talk a little bit about how that is important in your coaching as well, to coach people to know how to support people, but also reaching out for support?
Yeah, I think, nobody gets into what they do in this world of self-help without having to go on the journey yourself. So you have to know where you're coming from in order to be helpful to others. And so you have to do the work before you can offer help. And to me, that's the fun part, is discovering the issue, what do you call it? Like insecurities that I have or, weaknesses that I have, to be able to ask for help when you need it, to be able to recognize, I don't do this well, and that's okay. And I think there's something about doing social media, doing things, online, that you're like, okay, the whole world's going to see this. Not that anybody really cares that much what you have to say, but it'll be there for posterity. At the same time, the flip side of that is, I'm putting a stake in the ground and planting a flag around what I believe in. And there's something very empowering about that. And when you realize, okay, maybe there's some people that are going to take inspiration from that. And again, even sometimes I jump on a call with a client and I'll be like, I'm not feeling that great. And by the time I get off the call, I am on fire because I realize that's such a joy for me to help people figure out how to get out of their own way.
Yeah. And I feel like sometimes the best cure for yourself is to help other people as well, which I think is part of what you're seeing. Like you feel inspired by it because it's something that you believe in and you get to pursue, your energy towards and put your energy into. And he talked a lot about like bringing the energy. And I mean, on the podcast, you could tell this is somebody with, he doesn't run out of energy too much, but he said he was describing some of the ways that he, brings the best energy towards his family and towards his coaching. And, talk about the importance of giving yourself rest, of, for me, it's working out, for making sure you get out of your mind and into your body, is a quote that you always say, and being able to put your best energy forward, but you got to put boundaries and discipline into that. So what are some of your suggestions towards that?
I like to see that you either set the intention for your day or your day runs through you. And when you look at it that way, realize, okay, so either I can just go flying out of bed. I overslept my alarm because I went to bed too late. So I'm tired and then I'm going to miss my first meeting, or I don't get the workout in, or, ever those mornings where you're just feeling like you're literally chasing your tail and never quite catching up all day, versus the night before setting the intention about what it is I want to accomplish in the coming day. How do I want to approach it? I'm now getting in bed at like 9:00 at night, reading for 30 minutes, asleep by 9:30, and at 5 a.m. my eyes are wide open. And okay, great. Now I got 2 hours where there's nobody in the house that's up, or at least a solid hour. What do I want to do with my morning? And how do I want to create my day? And it's sitting, in my chair with my white lab, loves to sit in my lap, which is the perfect weight. And I leave my phone across the room and I'm just going to create, what do I want to happen? I've got this meeting, or sometimes I'm thinking about specific things, but sometimes I'm thinking about, actually this morning in my meditation, it was about this class we're creating together. And how cool would it be if in the fall we were running this class with 1,000 people in it? Like that excites me. And when I start thinking about that, then I start saying, okay, so what do I need to do today if the goal is to have 1,000 people in the class in the fall or in the coming months? Okay, what do we need to do to improve it today? And when you start thinking about it that way, from a dreaming bigger and pushing yourself outside your comfort zone, then life gets really exciting.
Yeah. And I think that, it goes hand in hand with what the workshop was this week of visualization and the winning mindset and creating, when you take the time to set aside for yourself to think, you can think forward and then backtracking to how you're going to get to that forward thinking place. So
Yes.
it's really important. And he definitely talked a little bit on that. And, as well as being a coach that people can reach out to on more than just fix me physically. He said, I think one of his quotes or something that he touched on was, the best coaches are going to be at your wedding. So for the coaches listening out there, what are some of your suggestions towards creating an environment where kids players, whoever want you at their wedding in the future?
I think it's really the art of the question, right? Like we feel, and I know a lot of younger coaches feel like I have to have the answers. I have to have all the answers. No, you don't. And the best coaches doesn't mean they were the best player. Doesn't mean they've completed their PhD. It means they're present enough and connected enough to you and where you are to ask you potentially even just one question that you perhaps hadn't thought of, hadn't spent the time thinking about, or revisiting in a way that opens up possibility for you. And, it might be a series of questions, but the best leaders I see and the best coaches I see are ones that are able to do that and really listen and hear what they're saying. And there's what they're saying out of their mouth. And then there's what their body language is saying, what their actions are saying, right? And being able to put those pieces together, that's where the genius comes in.
Yeah. And that's where you find the best coaches, are the ones that bring it all together and then put you into a box and put the best energy out for their players and for their people and for, whoever they are coaching.
And Todd represents that, as you said. He's so high energy. You can tell he walks the talk, even when he went through some major back problems and had to learn to walk again and all of this. Like, he's had some dark nights of the soul too. It's not like, oh, it's been a straight line. No, he's had to really work and grind and reinvent himself. But I can tell he's the type of guy that is up at 5 every morning, doing the work, modeling the work for his kids and his family and his community, and giving back in a big way.
Yeah, absolutely. He was a really great guest, and I think he's going to be a really good person. At least for he was pretty good at advertising you and pushing you on, and selling you a little bit at the end there. So
he does a better job. I need to hire him because that's one of my weaknesses. Is I need to do a better job of selling myself. And I always, again, I'm transparently, I don't want to seem salesy, so I probably don't sell myself enough. But my hope is, if you're listening and you find this valuable, then we get to meet wherever that is, whether it's on the workshop or reading my book or seeing me at a workshop or hiring me as a coach. Like, those are the fun opportunities to connect and to serve. And that's ultimately what I want to do, is serve as many people as possible, help them. I think we're all trying to figure it out. And when we feel like we're supported, we can do anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it was a great podcast, and it was great listening to you and Todd get to talk and hash it out.
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah,
parents,
thank you.
check it out if you listen to it, and send us your feedback. If if you enjoyed this episode, or if there's somebody you would like to hear on the podcast, let us know. Like, I'm always looking for new guests. I love coming across a new author, speaker, athlete, someone you might have a connection to that you say, gosh, this would be a perfect guest for them. Please feel free to jump in our DMs or send us an email at kirstenjonesinc.com. Thank you.